Hello there, welcome to your 12th webinar. In this webinar, we are going through to your two optional parts in your courses, which the first one is going to be building a question and answer agent using IBM platform. And on the second part of this webinar, we are going to talk about how to build the voice user interface using Alexa Amazon. And for both of it, you do not need to code a lot. It's less technical, and because we are mostly using a third-party platform. So for both of these, IBM and Alexa, both of them have a free usage, so you do not need to purchase neither of it. And knowing this technology will help you to actually create your model so much faster. So that being said, let's start by making your own question and answer agent using IBM platform called Bluemix. So at the start, what you should do, you have to click on this link and go and create an account in this IBM cloud. It is totally free, you don't need to do anything. And after creating it, sign in. I have already accounted, so I will sign in it. Okay, it might take a couple of seconds. Okay, after you have signed in, you can come back again to your Jupyter notebook, and we will start by first part of this Jupyter notebook, and which we will create and configure a discovery service inside your IBM Bluemix platform. So let's start by going to this URL, which it shows all of the catalogs, all of the services that IBM Cloud will give it to you. And after going here, click on AI. And in here, there's some tab called Discovery. Click on it. So we will use this service at the very beginning. You can name your services whatever you like, and after naming it, you can just click on Create. It might take a while. So until it loaded, we will you will create you put a name and you will create it. After you create it, you can go to your Bluemax apps dashboard and you can see your discovered service in that area. Let's see, it got loaded. Okay, let's try again. So under AI, discover service. Click on create. So now the service has been created. Now if you look at this part, you can see this instance that we made a discover service. After that, you can click on this. Now we have to connect this discovery service to our Jupyter notebook. And the way you will do this is to copy paste this API key and URL inside our inside our Python file. Now click on this discovery 40 or any other name that you have already chosen. And in here you will see the API key and also the URL. So what you should do, in the same directory there's a file named service credential. In here you can find service credential JSON file. And for the first part, the discovery part, you have to copy paste the URL and this API key inside here. So let's do this. This is the API key, copy paste, and also the URL. So now the discovery service in IBM has been connected to our Jupyter notebook. Next, let's install the Watson Developer Cloud inside our Jupyter notebook, and you will just say pip install upgrade Watson Developer Cloud. I have already installed it, so it will say just requirement already up to date. And then import the libraries. After importing the libraries, now let's use the service credentials that you have already put it, the URL and API key. So by running this cell, you will connect to it. Now we are connected to it. After this, let's create an environment in our discovery services. And you can do it by running this cell. Okay, now we have created an environment. So when you build your environment, after that you are going to get 3 default configuration. The first configuration that you are going to get is conversation, which is about how we want to convert any type of document formats and extract elements to it. For example, you will get sometime formats in Word, sometime in PDFs, and sometime in HTML, and we will just want to extract elements from them. The second configuration block that you're going to get is called enrichment, which is the type of output we are interested in it. For example, in sentiment analysis, we are interested in positive, negative, and neutral. And the third part of configuration is normalization, which is just a pre-processing step that we will apply to our output. So you can list already the existing configuration by running this cell, and you can also get the default configuration in detail by running this cell. So now let's go to the next step, which is testing language enrichment. So what we want to do in this part is to test our configuration that we have. However, before we apply this configuration to a larger dataset, we want to apply in a small dataset and we just test it. And the file that we are going to use is called sample.html, and this data is taken from Star Wars. So by running this cell, you can test the configuration that you have already have, and you can exactly see it. So after you did your testing, you want to analyze the test output. So in the previous part, we started to analyze a smaller data set in Star Wars text. And in this part, we want to analyze the extracted information in there. So if you run this code in cell, so you will get some information. Now we want to talk about each of these. If you go a little lower, it will ask you to answer these 2 questions. The first part is, what is the overall sentiment detected in this text? Mention the type, positive, negative, and the score. So if you come above here, you can find this sentiment, which is labeled as neutral, which is neither positive and it is neither negative. And the second part is concept, which is a list 3 concepts that have been identified with relevance upper than 0.5. Note that not all concepts have been presented directly in the text. So if you look at this, you will see concepts. And in concepts, you have texts and you have relevance. And you can easily take this text and with a relevance upper than 0.5. So after analyzing your text, we can go to the second section of this Jupyter notebook, which is called ingest the documents. So the first thing we want to do is to create a collection. What is collection? Collection are used for organizing documents that are similar to each other. For example, if you have a collection of book reviews and also collection of Wikipedia articles, it really doesn't make sense to combine these two. That is why we use collection to separate these book reviews and also this collection of Wikipedia articles. In this section now we want to create a collection in our IBM platform, and it will call story chunks. You can name whatever you want, but in here we will just call it this. So let's run this. So now our collection has been made. After you have run this code, come back to your IBM Watson service platform. Then in the discovery part, what you want to do is to launch tool. So after launching this tool, you will direct it to a page that you can actually see the collection in there. And this story chunks is going to be one of it. Let's wait until it gets on. As you can see, it has already created for us. So let's come back here. Now the next thing we want to add documents. So documents are just a unit of text that we want to add to the collection that we have created in the last section. And in here we will use data in the Star Wars directory. We have a couple of data sets in HTML formats that we will use as a document. So for adding the documents to our collection, just run this cell. And after adding this, you can take a look at the collection detail by this cell. Now, also in here, if you look at it, you will see that one by one is adding all of these HTML files. So it might take a while. Let's also run this cell for viewing the collection detail. So the document has been added, and you can see that it already found the collection story chunks, which this document, all of it has been added to these story chunks. And if you go to your IBM, let's just refresh this page and let's see if anything has been added to this or not. And we can see it by just clicking on the story chunks in here. As you can see, already 42 documents has been added. And you can just take a look at this. So let's come back to our Jupyter notebook. And also in here, we can list all of the fields extracted. So great. Next, we want to test our query, and more specifically, we want to look at all of the paragraph that have a relation with this jar jar subject. And you can just do it by simply running this cell, and you can actually see the result query. Great. Now let's go to the third part of this Jupyter notebook, which is parse natural language questions. So in here we want to use another service of IBM, is called Assistant. And This name before was called conversation, and we usually use this for designing a conversational agent or chatbot. So for creating this second type of service, again, go to your IBM BlueMax catalog. You can go here. Actually, click it on here. Go to the catalog and then select WhatsApp Assistant under AI section. Okay, let's see, assistant. Oh, here, WhatsApp Assistant. Click on this. Then you can choose whatever name you like. And after that, click on create. So after we created, we can see it in our app dashboard. And after that, it will give us a URL and API key again, like the previous service that we use. We will copy paste this URL and API key into our service credential JSON file. So we can connect our Jupyter notebook to this IBM service. So let's copy this IBM and this API key first. Then in here, in your service credential.json file, there's a URL, just copy paste it in here. Oh, sorry, this API key. Now copy the URL and paste it here and save the file. Okay, after this, come here, you can launch that. It says to click on launch tool, so let's launch it. So for the second step, we will have to add skills to it. Let's do that too. Okay, I guess it might take a while. So go to this skills part and click on create skill. So in here it gave you, if you come back here, so you can name it something like bookworm, and the description you can say I know a lot of stories, ask me a question, and of course you're welcome to choose any other name that you want. Bookworm. Now let's also copy here, paste, create dialog skill. So now we have created our skill. So then we want to add intent. So in here we want to use 3 intent, and this is only used for capturing different kind of question that we want to ask. For example, we want to add who, what, and where, because this is a 3 type of question that we are going to add, and that is the purpose of this intent. So let's create intent. Who, so user example, like who was Jedi, since this is a Star Wars dataset, so you can use any type of question related to that. Let's create another intent where for the user example you can say where is the Jedi template located. And lastly, let's add what, I guess. Yeah, let's add what with what. So what type of question we can ask? Like, what is a Jedi? Okay. So now we have added our intent, all three type of question that we want to ask. So after creating your intent, we want to also add entities. So in here, for adding the entities, we will do it programmatically. We don't do anything by hand because it will take a while. So by running this cell, we will add all of our entities, which after running this to cell, you can come back here again, go to this entities part. Let's refresh it. Let's see. Oh, sorry. So in here, we just connect to the assistant service. We didn't import it still. We do it in the next cell. And let's run this too. Also this cell. Now let's come back here again. Let's refresh this. So as you can see here, we added entities programmatically plus their values. So let's come back to our Jupyter notebook. Now, the next thing we want to do is to design a dialog flow. So this is the last step that we are going to do with this assistant interface. And what we want to do is to design a typical dialogue with the user. So come back to your IBM Watson. So in here, there's another tab is called dialogue. You can click on it, and you can create on your dialogue. So here, if you click on this nodes, you can see first this recognizes welcome, and also this is the response that we are going to do. Like if you say something for the welcoming, it will give you this. Now we want to create, you can create more converts. For example, you can add a node like Luke's father. Can add intent like who. Now you can say Dark Vader, if I write it correctly, was Luke's father. So you can create node as much as you want, and then you can come back to your Jupyter notebook. Let's run a test dialog. So if you notice in here, we ask our IBM who is the Luke's father. We didn't say anything. I just wrote like Luke's father. That's all I said. So what it says, Darth Vader was Luke's father. So that is how you will create dialogue with your IBM platform. So let's go to the fourth part of this Jupyter notebook. So in this section, we want to, again, like above, give a question. And after giving the question, we want to get the query intent, and also we want to get the query entity, which just by running this cell you can take it, which intent is who and entity is look. Great. So in this part we want to design a query based on information that has been extracted in here. So you can just again get that query just by running this cell. Very great. So let's go to the last part of this Jupyter notebook for creating your question and answer in IBM. So this part is optional and you only have to answer very few questions, and you have to only do this if you work on another data set of your own, and at the end you have to just, if you use another data set, what type of data set and you use and what steps has been you taken. Okay, now let's go to the second part of this webinar, which we will build a voice user interface using Alexa Amazon. So let's come back to your page in your courses, which is for creating your Alexa history skill. We will read through each of it and we will do every single step until you build your own voice user interface. So go to getting started. So at the very start you have to download and clone this starter code, which it has been already provided for you. It's just some JavaScript code and also JSON files, which it will help you to later on import it to Amazon's platform. So let's read through each of it and then we will do it. So at the very start you have to make sure that the node.js is installed on your machine. So let's go install this. After this you will just see some page like this and then you will click on it, you will download and you will install it. That's it. There's nothing really complicated. Let's install this. Password. Okay, great. Now it has been downloaded and installed. Let's come back to the page. Okay, we downloaded node.js. Now we have to install the dependencies for the project, and the way you will do it is to first open your terminal and go to this directory nlpn.vua.alexa. You will go first there and then go to the source directory. So let's do it. So we say voice user interface Alexa source. Great. The dependency we need listed in package.json. So the only thing that we need to do is just npm install, and it will install all of the dependencies. Okay, it might just take a very few seconds. It's not that long. Okay, great. Now it has been downloaded. And next, we will apply this unit testing and see if we have any error or not. And at the start, it's totally okay. We're gonna see a lot of error. That is totally normal. As you can see, we have 8 error. And at each step, we will go through each of these errors and we will fix all of it. And until the last step, that when you solve all of this problem, you can put this on the Alexa's platform. Very great. So let's go to the next page. It's called task. Again, let's go through each of these steps and do the same thing. So at the very start, it says choose a history category you wish to use for your skill. Very great. And you can use your own resources or you can use this history facts. And later on, we will actually come back to this and we will copy paste. So the second step says expand the sample utterances in this starter code, source models enus the JSON file to include at least 15 appropriate samples utterances. So let's do this. Let's go to the source models dot English US. So voice user interface Alexa source models en.us JSON. So what it tells in here, you can give, this is the things that you can tell to Alexa. For example, you can say effect and it will give you effect. It will tell, if you tell it like a history fact, again, it will tell you a history fact to you. So in here, you can go on and add 15 and there has been already a solution for this. So just for the sake of time, we will just copy paste this. So it has already provided all of the 15 samples. Very great. And let's come back to this Udacity page. The third step is called expand the fact list at the top of the source lambda index.js file such that here are at least 10 distinct facts. So let's open this file. Let's close this. Lambda index.js. So in here it says that at least put 10 facts. This is the facts that when you tell Alexa, it's gonna tell to you. So you can go and add your own histories. Again, there is a solution here. We just copy paste for the time wise. Okay, let's save this. Very great. Let's come back to the Udacity. Okay, test it. Now let's test it. Let's see if the number of error got lower or not. Before doing those changes, we had 8 error. So let's test it again. Very good. As you can see, it has already passed the 8. So let's go to the second part. So what it says in addition to this get new fact intent, also add the get new year fact intent. So it says provide at least 15 utterances for the new get new year fact intent. So if you go to this index.js, this is the file, this is the function it wanted, get new year fact handler. It just give you the specific fact about that year. Okay, after that you can go to this source lambda.index.js and do the to-dos. It has already done for you, so there's no to-dos. All of it has been written down. So that is it. If you test it, all of it will pass. As you can see, everything has been passed. There's no single error. Now we are ready to put this JavaScript and JSON files into our Alexa. So let's go to this for part. So what it says an Alexa developer portal, click on create skill. Let's click on this, Alexa developer. Let's sign into it. Okay, Amazon Alexa skill kit. Again, in here, click on create skill. Okay, let's come back here. It says custom model and fact skill temple. So we just make a name like history facts, create a skill. Then it use fact skill. Great. Now our Amazon developer is ready for importing our files. So let's go back to this Udacity. It says navigate to the build tab inside the skill interaction model. So the build is here, build tab, okay, we are already in it. From the interaction model menu on the left, select JSON editor. JSON editor here, click on this. So in here, what you should do is just copy paste the JSON file that you have been working on so far. So on the directory, you will go to models, enus.json. You will just copy here and paste it here. And after pasting, you will just save it. Great. So you have already done this, paste this enus.json file. Then also we save the file. Next you have to build the AWS Lambda service from Amazon again. For creating this, you need to put your credit card. It has a free trial, so you do not need to actually pay for building these Alexa services. And for me, I'm not able to work on this. For somehow it got blocked for me. I'm unable to actually fully build this Alexa, but I will explain everything line by line for you. So what you want to do is to go to this AWS Lambda service. Then you will create a Lambda function using this serverless application repository and Node.js temple. Then you will connect the AWS Lambda to our Alexa developer console. And after that, you will copy the content of this index, this file. You'll again copy paste this. And you put it in the function code, which if you go here, there's something endpoint. After in here, you can connect your AWS services. You just need to copy paste your information. Then you can add this index.js file. Very great. And after that, you can start testing it. It is totally ready. So for testing it, what you need to do, come back here, click on test. So since for me is not, the AWS service is not connected to, I cannot use this. But you can here start chatting and it will answer you based on this JSON file that you have been provided for you. The great part of it is that you can also use voice for it. You do not need to type. So in here you can use either voice or text, and this Alexa will answer you. So in IBM we just use the question and answer services. In here, beside the question and answer, we have created the voice user interface, which is the whole new level. And you reach to it with a very, very little amount of coding, which is great. So that's all you need to do to know about the Alexa skill set and also the IBM question and answer. I hope you enjoyed this webinar and see you for the next webinar. Thank you very much.